guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today, I'm going to be talking about the equation of a perpendicular line. So, for perpendicular lines, the product of their slopes is equal to -1. So that means that the slopes are negative reciprocals of each other. So to illustrate the two lines, right, their slopes, which are represented by m, if you multiply them together, you will basically get -1, okay? And so they will be negative reciprocals of each other. Now, if we look at this line right here, right, it's saying that we have to find the equation of the line that is perpendicular to 7x minus y equals 8. So let's find basically the slope of this line, okay? Because we know that the line of question, okay, let's call it line B. Okay, we're trying to find line B. Okay, so let's try to find, so B is what we're trying to find, line B. And here we have 7x minus y equals 8. So let's label this as line A. Okay, this will be line A. And we're trying to find line B, okay, the equation of line B. So we need to know the slope of line A in order to do that, because line A is perpendicular to line B, so the slope tells us a lot about the slope of line B. So this is what we're trying to find, right? And so let's basically find the slope for line A. So here we have line A, 7x minus y equals 8. And we must isolate for y. We have to turn it into this line into the format y equals mx plus b. So in order for us to do that, we need to isolate for y. Because here in y equals mx plus b, the y is being isolated, it's by itself on one side of the equation. So I'm going to isolate for y here, and to do that, here it's -y, right? I like to basically move this to the right side, okay, of the equation, and that's because it's a -y. I want to make it a positive y. So in order to do that, I must add y on both sides of the equation. So I'm going to add y on both sides of the equation. So here it's -y plus y. It's going to cancel, right? It's going to give 0, and here it's 7x, right? So let's just copy 7x. The negative and the positive sign and the y's also get canceled out, by the way, so I'm not writing any of that. So now we have 7x is equal to 8 plus y. Now, we want y by itself, and we have 8 with the y, right? Number 8. We want to get rid of the 8, so recognize that there is a positive sign in front of this 8, right? I mean, it's not written there, but this 8 is clearly positive because there's no negative sign, right? So it's an invisible plus sign. Whenever there's like a first term, like it's usually not written, like the 7x is positive, right? Usually not written, but I'm just revealing the invisible plus sign that comes with it. So I'm going to subtract 8 from both sides. Subtract 8 from both sides so I can get rid of this 8, okay? So cancel, cancel. It's going to be equal to y. 7x minus 8 is equal to y, okay? Whatever I do on one side, I subtract 8 on this side, I must do on the other side, so that's why I did that. So now we have y equals 7x minus 8. So this is the equation of the line A, okay? Line A, okay? This is the equation of line A. Line A is this one, right? And now we change the equation to the form y equals mx plus b because we want to find slope, right? So the slope of this, if we basically match up with y equals mx plus b, we can see that our m matches up with 7, x matches up, and -8 matches with b, right? So our b is equal to -8, our m is equal to 7. Well, we don't really care about b right now because we just need to know slope. So slope is equal to 7, okay? So this is our slope of line A. We know that when two lines are perpendicular to each other, that means when two lines, when they cross each other at like a right angle, like a 90-degree angle, right? it means that their slopes, when multiplied together, will give a product of -1. So this is line A, right? And this is line B. Okay, together it's going to give you a product of -1. So from here, this is the slope of A, right? I'm gonna put a subscript A, right? And we have to multiply these two lines together, and it has to give -1. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to rewrite that. MA times MB equals -1. MA is equal to 7, so 7 times MB is equal to -1. Okay, and we want to know the slope of line B, right? The B is the line in question, okay? Find the equation of the line, that line is line B, okay? That is perpendicular to this, right? And it passes through the point. So we're just going to find line B, like the slope of line B, which is MB here. We have to find that. So what we can do here, right? We have an equation. We can just isolate for MB. Now this is multiplication, 7 times MB. The opposite of multiplication is division. So I'm going to divide both sides by 7, just like that. 7 and the 7 are going to cancel, and we will be left with MB equals -1/7. Okay, so now we found the slope for line B. We have to just plug that back into the equation y equals mx plus b, but for line B, not for line A, but for line B. Right, so y equals mx plus b, right? We have this equation here. We're going to sub m equals -1/7. So we just plug that right in here, this m. So y is going to be equal to -1/7x plus b. Okay, so this is the equation for line B, but we are still missing information. We're missing this b right here, because usually the equation of a line will have an x and a y that's unknown, but then everything else is filled in. Okay, this b cannot be unknown, so we have to know what b is. And to find that, we have a point right here. It passes through 1, 2. So if line B passes through 1, 2, that means that this point must satisfy the equation, okay, when plugged into x and y. So we have to sub in the point 1, 2, right, as shown right here. And we have to recognize that 1, 2, well, what does that mean? Well, the x is going to be equal to 1, the y is going to be equal to 2, so x equals 1, y equals 2. That's what we're basically doing. So we have this equation, okay? So our y is here. I'm going to plug in 2 for that, right? 2, and then -1/7, just copying that, times x, so I'm going to have to multiply this by x, which is 1, plus b, okay? And then what I have to do now is I have to isolate for b, because we're trying to find b, okay? Because we plug in our x and y values. Okay, so let's do that. So 2 is equal to -1/7 times 1. That's going to be -1/7 and plus b. And we have b on this side, and we have a -1/7 on this side. Now we want to get rid of everything else that's beside the b. So we have to basically recognize that this doesn't belong, -1/7, so we have to apply the opposite of that, which is +1/7, right? We need to apply it on both sides of the equation to balance it out, of course, and we cross it out like this. So now we have 2 plus 1/7 is equal to b. And then we can basically simplify this, right? So b is equal to 2 plus 1/7. So I'm just going to rewrite b first, right? And then we're going to simplify it. So now here we recognize this is 2, right? But 2 is basically 2/1, okay? So we can basically simplify it by finding a common denominator so we can add them together. So 2/1 plus 1/7. We can multiply this by 7 and multiply this by 7, so we get the same denominator. So 2 times 7 is 14. This is over 7, and then plus 1/7 So now we have the same denominator. So 14 plus 1 is going to give us 15, okay, and this is over 7, and we can't simplify this fraction, so that means this is our final answer for B, and then now we just have to plug in our B back into the equation, which was right here, okay? We don't plug it into the other equations. We don't plug it in here, right? Because here we were solving for B, which has X and Y plugged into it. We are plugging it in right here, and why is that? Well, because we don't want our X and Y to have values plugged into it when we solve for an equation of a line. We just need to fill in the slope right here and the B, the y-intercept. So we're just going to plug it in right here. So writing that in. So B is here, right? I'm just copying this equation right here. So I copied it, and now we just take this B, put it in here. So y is equal to -1 over 7x plus 15 over 7. And this here is our equation of the line, right? That is perpendicular to line A and passes through the point 1, 2. I would also like to point out that you see this equation here, the slope here, line B is equal to -1 over 7, right? And the slope for line A, what was the slope for line A? Well, we found it to be 7, right? So I'm just going to write them side by side. I just want to write side by side so you can see something. So this is the slope for line A, this is the slope for line B, right? And you know if you multiply them together you get -1, right? But of course we can also see that the negative reciprocal, so negative, so you just add the negative sign, okay? So first step, if you add the negative sign to 7, it's going to be -7, right? Negative reciprocal, now reciprocal means you basically flip it, so flip it, okay, put it in the denominator. Negative reciprocal, you basically get this number, -1 over 7. You can see that the slopes of perpendicular lines, right? Because line A is perpendicular to line B, they cross at 90 degrees. Slopes of perpendicular lines are negative reciprocals of each other. So negative reciprocals of each other. Same here, if we basically take this one, right, and let's say we take the negative of this, it's going to be -1 over 7. That's going to become basically +1 over 7. And now we flip that. We flip it over, so it's like we're putting this, right, in the denominator. It's 1 over 7, right? +1 over 7. So we flip that. Then it's going to become 1 divided by 1 over 7, right? We take this long division line and we change it to this division. It's going to be 1 times, we flip this, 7 over 1, and this is going to give us 7. So we get the slope of A from here, right? So that means basically we took the negative reciprocal. So we took the negative, okay, negative. Now we put it in the denominator, we basically flipped it, so that's a reciprocal. So we did that, and we get the slope of A. So that means these two lines, the slopes are negative reciprocals of each other. So anyways, this is the end of my YouTube video. Thank you for watching. I hope this helped. If so, feel free to give it a like. Furthermore, I always love to know your thoughts on my YouTube videos, so feel free to leave a comment down below. And if you are new to my channel, feel free to hit that subscribe button. Anyways, I hope to see you next time for another math video. Bye!